If your baby was just diagnosed with HIE, you might be wondering how could this have happened and why the hospital is now saying that it is because of your high blood pressure. Chronic hypertension or long-term high blood pressure is often pointed to as the reason for an HIE injury, but that doesn't mean that HIE is inevitable because you have high blood pressure. And it doesn't mean that you are powerless to seek answers, especially if you have concerns over what was going on during labor and delivery. Hello, I'm Marcus Boss. I'm a birth injury lawyer, and today what I want to do is help you understand how chronic hypertension can sometimes be used as an explanation that will shift the focus away from what happened during labor and delivery. We'll look at why hospitals and their legal teams will often focus on this condition, and more importantly, how you can counter that explanation when certain facts exist in your set of circumstances. If you feel that the care that you receive, especially if you think that the care that you received during labor and delivery didn't go as it should have. So let's first briefly talk about chronic hypertension. What is it? It's a condition in which you have high blood pressure where it exists usually early in pregnancy or at the start of pregnancy and during pregnancy. Now, while hypertension can create certain risks during pregnancy, it doesn't mean that an HIE brain injury is automatically going to happen. In fact, with careful monitoring and attention to the baby's health, many mothers who have chronic hypertension, they still go on and they deliver healthy full-term babies, speaking to my brother-in-law off camera. But because it does add some risk to hospitals, their defense teams, what they will do is they will focus heavily on hypertension when they're explaining what may have went wrong. They might say that the high blood pressure led to poor blood flow or oxygen levels, and that's why an HIE brain injury occurred. And while it's true that chronic hypertension can have an impact, the full story is rarely that simple. What often gets missed in these explanations is the role that the actual care during labor played. It's not just about whether a mother has high blood pressure. It's also about whether the doctors and the nurses, whether they paid attention to signs of distress during labor and whether they responded correctly if these things were present. Now, let's talk about how there's some ways that we can counter this defense. For a term baby with HIE, two important pieces of information that you can use is head circumference and placental pathology. Head circumference is a measurement that can tell us a lot about your baby's growth. If the baby's head circumference is in a normal gestational range for a term baby, that's a sign that they were developing well during pregnancy. This can make it harder for the defense to argue that chronic hypertension was causing any major issues before labor and delivery. Another important factor that you want to examine is the placenta after delivery. The placenta is where the baby will receive oxygen and other types of nutrients, and looking closely at the placenta can show if blood flow was being restricted in any way. In many cases, placental pathology, it may not reveal any issues that were tied to hypertension. When that's the case, it tells us that there were other factors that may be playing a role, such as how was labor managed? Could the management of labor have played a significant role in your baby's HIE brain injury? This brings us to why it's important to look at the fetal heart tracings. These tracings are a continuous recording of the baby's heart and how the baby is responding during labor. They show us when a baby might be under stress, and they help guide doctors when they need to step in. If there were signs in these tracings that were missed or they weren't acted upon, it could mean that something went wrong with the care provided, not just that it was the high blood pressure that was the risk. If you have been told that chronic hypertension is the reason why your baby has developed this HIE brain injury, you should know that it is okay to seek a deeper understanding of what may happen. Don't feel like you have to just accept all of these answers right away, especially if you have concerns that something went wrong or there was more to the story. And when we're reviewing the fetal heart tracings, that can help us reveal whether there were signs of distress and what was done during labor and delivery as a result of that. And if you're a mother currently managing chronic hypertension, I want to share a few things that you might be able to use to help you with this. Sometimes keeping blood pressure at a safe level can involve lifestyle steps and changes, like a balanced diet. You want to have regular exercise, managing stress, and working closely with your healthcare professionals. These are all positive steps that you can take. But even with chronic hypertension, hospitals and doctors still have a responsibility to monitor you and your baby, especially during labor, to help avoid potential injuries. Now, before I wrap this up, again, I want to stress that in some instances, babies that will have, if you are dealing with chronic hypertension, that can, in some instances, have an adverse impact on your baby. I just want to stress, though, that, again, that is not the complete story with everything. All right? So, again, I'm Marcus Boston. If you have other questions about your baby's HIE brain injury from a medical legal standpoint, don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. You can find out more information about me if you take a look at my profile, or you can just stay to the end of this video and just watch the picture that follows. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Have a great afternoon, everybody.